All right. So now we're going to move on to one of our first of two movie reviews of the night. We haven't done a double review in a while. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about Jojo Rabbit. This movie is directed, director, writer, and one of the stars of the film, Taika Waititi, who probably most people know him for being the director of Thor Ragnarok. This movie is about a little boy named Jojo, set during Nazi Germany, where he's a Nazi youth, and he's a little boy, and he basically wants to be a Nazi because he wants to be cool and part of the whole thing, and he thinks, but then it turns out he's not that really good of a Nazi, despite the fact that he went to Nazi camp, Nazi summer camp, and then as the movie goes on, he discovers that his mother is hiding a little Jewish girl in their house, and his whole world is flipped upside down as he starts to realize, what the Jewish people are really like. And let's get into it. I saw this movie just a few days ago, and I've been actually pretty eager to see it since I first saw the trailer because
I'm eager to hear the review.
Yeah, because it's like a bit of a dark comedy. I'll call it that way because it's rated PG-13. So,
really?
Yeah, it's rated PG-13. I know, and that's surprising because the main character is, a little boy.
Yeah.
But it's rated PG-13, and there's good reason for it too, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't want to discourage people from going to see the movie. I'm not saying that because it is. When I say dark comedy, it is. There's plenty of funny moments. I mean, it's a satire to begin with. You see in the trailers that they're totally making fun of the whole Nazi thing, even though a lot of the main cast are actually Nazis. I mean, you got so many. You got Sam Rockwell playing Captain Klenzendorf. You got Rebel Wilson playing Fraulein Rahm. You got Alfie Allen playing Finkel, one of the subordinates to Sam Rockwell's character. If you don't know who Alfie Allen is, he was the guy who killed the dog in John Wick. So just to give you some reference, that guy's always playing people. They're not so nice. But yeah, no, there's plenty of moments where like they're at Nazi summer camp and they're learning to throw knives, and the one kid throws a knife and bangs off the tree and nails him in the leg. And then you have this other scene where one of the other Nazis is in Jojo's bedroom, and there's all these like Nazi posters with Hitler all over the wall. He's like, "Oh, and I wish all of our young boys were." That's a horrible German accent, so I'm just not going to do it anymore.
Yeah.
You just insulted every German.
Try
out
again.
there.
You're usually really good with the accents. Try it again.
I don't.
So much
Is he
pressure.
good with accents?
I'm good with I'm good with impressions. I'll put it that way.
Impressions. Yeah.
I wish all of our young boys were. I can't fucking.
That
do it.
was close.
I wish all of our young boys were such blind fanatics like you. How was that?
Not bad.
Okay.
So we had someone come see the movie the other day in the theater.
Oh, really?
I managed a theater. And they saw the movie and they found it incredibly insulting to Germans, and they walked out before it was over. They walked out half into it.
Well, I feel
like if they heard your accent, they might walk out on this.
Well, if I've insulted the German people, I will apologize. They pushed me to do it. Anyway.
Yeah, apparently they found it incredibly insulting.
Well, the movie
Germany.
totally makes fun of, like, the movie, it is a satire. It's not really making fun of the German people, and I'll explain later why I don't think so. It's just making fun of the Nazis. And there's plenty of funny moments, and one of the big funny moments is the fact that Jojo, in the movie, and if you've seen the trailer, you notice, he has an imaginary friend that encourages him to be the best Nazi he can be, and his imaginary friend just happens to be Adolf Hitler. Yeah. Played by the movie's writer and director Taika Waititi, and I want to point. This is not.
Oh my God, that was him.
Yeah, that was him.
I didn't know that was him. That's crazy.
Well, yeah, because he got a clean shave, and I think they powdered up his face because Taika Waititi is darker skinned.
Man, that guy has a set of balls on him. Huh?
Yeah, but they powdered up. Yeah, but it's like a goofy, eccentric. Well, I guess Hitler was eccentric. Goofy version of Hitler. When him and Jojo, he's like at summer camp. Jojo's like running through the forest, going like, "I'm a Nazi." He's like right behind him, like dancing and like, "Yeah, you got this, you got this."
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so it's really funny. Like, and I know some people like. I feel like we talked about this on the show because I know there was like some slight controversy about maybe this movie's going to make Hitler look like a cool guy. When you take one of the most horrid, evil men in history and you make him act goofy and weird, you kind of take away the power from him. And you know what I mean? When you make something like that look goofy, you take the fear out of it to a degree. And you're insulting him in reality.
We've all seen like one of those downfall like redubs before.
Yeah.
Hitler reacts to Watchmen or whatever else.
Or I think the first one I saw was Avatar. Hitler reacts to Avatar. I think that's the first one I ever saw. But yeah, Taika Waititi's great as imaginary Hitler. Like, because he's trying to be like this imaginary friend to Jojo, and they have all these like goofy moments where like Jojo doesn't know what to do, and he talks to Hitler, and Hitler gives him like advice. But he just does a great job, and a lot of the funny moments come from Taika Waititi as Hitler. And let's talk about Roman Griffin Davis, who plays Jojo in the movie. The kid does a great job. I looked him up. I think this is his first film. I mean, according to IMDb, yeah, this is the only movie he's ever done, unless he did some like commercials or like TV work. He's a real young kid, and he was great in the movie. Like, I never like when you have when you have child actors, a lot of child actors, they kind of vary in quality, but this kid pulled it off. He was solid throughout the whole film, and you really believe him that he's just this naive little kid that like he grows. He's a 10-year-old boy in the era of Nazi Germany, and he's naive and he just believes everything that the Nazi Party tells him and all this stuff, and like they're doing good and like going to war is a great thing to do for your country. And he's 10 years old and he wants to go off to war without really understanding what that really means. He just is told that the Jews are horrible people. But where things get interesting is where he meets. Elsa, played by Thomasin McKenzie, who plays the young Jewish girl that's hiding in their house. When Jojo discovers her, he freaks out because he's heard all these rumors about the Jews, about how they're monsters and they have like horns or fangs or stuff like that, or like fish scales. So I think that's one of the things in the movie. The movie just really makes fun of all the dumb shit that the Nazis would like use propaganda to make people think about the Jews and all these things. And that's what a lot of interesting things happen when he finally meets Elsa, and he starts to get to know her, and what's done. He's like, tell me where, tell me where your Jewish headquarters is. You guys live in a cave somewhere, right? Like, that's what he thinks, because he's a naive little kid. And as time goes on, the more he talks to her, the more he starts to question what he's been taught about Jewish people. And it's pretty, and it's you see him like turning, like he's not a bad little boy. He's a good-hearted kid in a bad culture. And it makes for some like interesting character development moments. It also makes for some funny moments because Elsa, she's great in the movie too. When she first meets Jojo, remember Jojo thinks that she's Jewish, so she's some kind of monster. So she kind of plays up to that. She kind of messes with Jojo a lot, plays to his fears that she's some kind of monster, which makes for some funny moments where he tries to fight her, but he's just a dumb wimpy little kid, and she just kind of kicks his butt because the character's 18. But then you get some really soft moments where he like starts to soften up to her, and he's being nice to her, but he plays it off as like, I'm just trying to learn about Jewish people, So there's a lot of great moments between these two characters, which was nice because it really what carries the film. Like the evolution of Jojo from realizing that maybe this Nazi thing isn't so great. I don't know. Another actor in the film playing Jojo's mother Rosie is Scarlett Johansson. And Scarlett Johansson, she's, we're in Germany, she's German, but she doesn't really care for the Nazis. She's not part of the Nazi, she's not part of the Nazi movement, and she just hates the war and wishes it's over because she doesn't want this war to keep going and Jojo to go off to war. She tries to support him. He knows like he's really into Nazi movement, but we find out that she's hiding this little girl in their house, and we get to know her a little bit because she's trying to be good to Jojo because like his dad's off in the war. And she's trying the best she does, and you can tell there's a lot going on with this character because throughout the movie she's drinking wine quite often, so she's stealing, so she's possibly an alcoholic and she's trying to deal with it, but she tries to remind Jojo that there's more to life than war. There's love and song and dance and all this other kind of stuff. She's trying to keep the shine of life in her household with Jojo to make sure he doesn't he realizes like this isn't what life is supposed to be about. And I really like this.
It shines.
That'll come back later in the next review. Yeah. So yeah, she's trying her best to make sure her son, because she realizes her son is already pretty brainwashed by the whole Nazi thing. But she plays it off well. We have a few cute moments. We have a few funny moments between them. Like, I'm serious, plenty of great laughs in this film as they make fun of the whole Nazi thing, satirize it, and just like it's definitely Sam Rockwell as Captain Klenzendorf. He's kind of like he's a Nazi soldier that took an injury in the war, so he's no longer able to fight in the battlefield. So he has to run like the Nazi summer camp that Jojo was a part of. And he's definitely upset about it because he wants to be out fighting. He does this one part of the film where he's like, can an injured soldier do this? And he starts shooting a gun everywhere and just blasting things left and right. And he's really funny because because he's a Nazi, but he's not he's not really that great at it. He's kind of pathetic in a lot of ways, but he's also kind of he tries to be a mentor figure to Jojo, and I mean that in a good way because he just sees this little kid trying to do the best he can. So Sam Rockwell has those moments where it's like, fucking Nazi, to like, oh, that was nice. You did that for Jojo. That was nice. And like I said, we got a whole bunch of, we got Rebel Wilson in this film, Stephen Merchant's in this movie. And, once again, I want to say, like, Taika Waititi was great as this goofy version of Hitler. But without going into spoilers, there are a few dark moments in the film. Because there are moments in the film, where they take a moment to remind you, this is happening during World War II in Nazi Germany. Jewish people are being hunted down. It throws some reality in there every once in a while. We'll have like 20 minutes of comedy and then throws a little bit of reality. And I'll say, without going to spoilers, the third act of this film, the last bit of this film, will kick you in the heart because it does get emotional. Things start to happen. I'm not going to go into what happens, but
did you cry?
You
cried at Lion King.
I did not cry at Lion King.
Yes,
that did not happen.
The live action version that everyone hated?
Yeah. She's making shit up.
I liked it kind of. I wouldn't think it was that bad.
He didn't cry.
Okay.
I don't often cry, and I don't mean that in a tough macho man way, but I did get emotional. Like, this movie really, when I say this movie kicks you in the heart, it does.
Oh.
Yeah, as much as it will make you laugh your ass off, there's a few moments you're going to go like, oh.
Like a roller coaster.
Did you feel the tonal shifts had smooth transitions, or did they feel kind of jarring and kind of out of place?
There was one that just kind of come in there, but that was, I felt like the purpose of, like, it's supposed to shock you, like, goof, the Nazis are so goofy, then boom, reality. It's supposed to be a little shocking moment. But a lot of, like, the bigger moments start, they come more gradually throughout the course of the film, where it starts to move a little bit away from the comedy, the satire, and move to more of the serious stuff. But by that point, you're very invested in the characters. And, it's a great cast, great directing by Taika Waititi, all that, great dialogue. So at the end of the day, do I give Jojo Rabbit a recommendation? I do. I do recommend you go see this film. I think it was great. I recommend you guys go check it out. I think it's just a great film. I had some other friends, Krish, as we mentioned, who was on last week, and his wife, Liz, who's been on the show multiple times before. They also saw the film, and they loved it. And I think it's a great film. I think they did a great job, and I'm eager to see what Taika Waititi has coming up next, as he's really been making a name for himself lately. Hey everybody, hope you enjoyed that clip. We live stream every Thursday night on our Twitch channel, and of course, check us out on the River's Edge Online Radio Network.